Hey, Steve Shenbaum here from Game On Nation. I am so thrilled to have as a guest for our Laugh With podcast, Rachel Goff. Rachel is our full-time team member at Game On. I look at you and I'm smiling because I think Rachel is a superstar, and I love speaking life into this young woman because she is our retirement plan. No pressure. So Rachel is a client experience specialist with us. Beyond that, way beyond that, curriculum expert, teacher, has a lot of experience in the middle school community as a teacher and a facilitator and an impactor of young people. Rachel Goff, welcome to the Laugh With podcast. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All those accolades at 27. Wow.
Woo! Well, it's funny you brought up your age, and I'll bring up my age because we may talk a little bit about generational gap. 54, 27. Let me tell you, people, the 54-year-olds and the 27-year-olds need to work together.
That's true.
Because those 27-year-olds have a lot of passion and wisdom when it comes to technology and content and language. And then these 54-year-olds have a little bit of experience. Fair?
Like, comment, share.
Yes.
Love it, love it.
Like, comment, share. Rachel, whenever we have guests on Laugh With Podcast, and you know this because you're part of the full-time team, we would love to define laughter as not just being the funniest cat in the room and doing the setup punchline joke, which is actually not your rhythm, actually. You've got such a cool, unique sense of humor. But, like, what's made you laugh, Rita? What's brought you joy? What's something that you want? Oh, I already know you. I can tell when Rachel does this. If you're not watching this and you're just listening, Rachel does this sort of slow nod with the eyes closed. What do you got?
Oh, man. Well, you all know my recent cosmetic enhancements, my braces.
Oh, I love it.
So when I first got them installed, all of my family, my siblings and my parents, with their quick-wittedness, they started rolling their S's with me in conversations.
Now, was that empathy or was that laugh at?
I'm going to say it's a little bit of both.
They've earned the right.
You know, they've earned the right.
They've earned the right because they're family. Now, if you would have said to me, some random person walk up to you and started rolling their S's because you're rolling I'd be like, that's not fair.
I mean, we're both having just heavy heaves of laughter on the phone or in person, so I know they're with me. So that's been the drift for the past couple of weeks.
That's good, rolling their S's.
Something to say there. I'm like, I love you too, so it's okay.
I love that.
It's good. It's been good.
Actually, and I love that that's not a setup punchline joke, but I also love that you've invested in your growth, right?
I have.
I love it.
It's been a good shift. It's something it's interesting how I'll use experiences to draw lessons from, but I'm glad I got my braces at this age because if I would have got them on my parents' dime and my parents' time, I had a lot of elbows in basketball. Would have been a lot of reconstruction going on, perhaps.
Oh, that's good.
Right season, right time, and good straight.
That's wonderful. One of the things I teed up, and we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of what you're bringing to the team in the season of your life you're in, and how we need to work together. But I want to back up. I mentioned that you were teaching in the middle school system. And I've seen these young people and how they get so excited when they run into you. Last year during graduation, you were getting reached out to by your former students going, Miss Goff, can you come to my graduation? Yeah. Tell me some of the things that you loved and some of the things you miss about being up in front of those young people on the daily.
Man, honestly, I miss it every day. The change is good. The change, I believe, is for my benefit. But sometimes coming into the office and having that quiet morning start is a little interesting because you get that overwhelming feeling of need and care of Miss Goff, guess what happened?
That's really interesting that you say that. That's good for me to know, too.
Yeah.
I think for anyone, if they're used to, because you could think that showing up to that environment could actually feel overwhelming to have all these young kids going Miss Goff, but if it's taken away entirely, that's silence.
It's silent. So it's those mornings where you're like, give me 5. And then there's other mornings, come on, what's going on? I need news from you, I need updates from you, and I'm gonna give them back. And so it was just beautiful having those moments of relationship with them and starting the morning with being intentional, and that's something that we do here at Game On. We start the morning with our check-ins, being intentional and establishing that human connection on the daily.
I like that. some things when I'm always, I'm going to dive into the teaching because I find it fascinating. I mean, there's no one other than teachers that are having that level of rep when it comes to presentation.
Yeah.
You're talking 5-6 classes a day, and we'll talk even more about how we need to work together and honor generations and different ages. But like back to you being in front, how many classes were you teaching a day?
My previous school had 5 sections, which we would call courses. And my other school, it was an entire day of 5 as well.
Wow. So you talk about being, and you are the youngest in our team, but then what did you learn from some of these young people? So now you're the elder. See, it's all relative, right?
It is.
Yeah? So you started the podcast mentioning your age at 27, but you're Miss Goff to these 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, yeah?
Yes.
What did you pick up from this age group while you were leading as the elder in the room?
Man, I started in the classroom at 23, and I learned instantly that they're my teacher too.
Come on.
That I'm no lesser than them if we kind of take the authority away, but I'm here to learn from their experiences, from how they process. One of the things that I learned immediately was that I couldn't always teach them how I learned. I had to invest in how they perceive, how they process, how they respond. And that meant coming into their world a little bit. So beyond the academics, beyond the lesson plan, how can I extend my reach? And that takes intention.
I wanted to then ask off of that. And I have a sense of maybe the answer, but I'm probably going to learn something too. How do you then get that out? How do you get that out of that young person to know like what their learning style is so you can then meet them where they're at?
Well, outside of the assessments and making sure we get some data and things of that nature, making sure they know that they are seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
Top tier.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate all of my previous organizations or academic institutions. One of the first things our pillar was relationship with our students. I mean, yes, I taught history and civics and things of that nature, but subject matter isn't as valuable as the person and their purpose.
It's so good. And then how do you balance that? And this is, I think, for anyone in the leadership position, anyone in a parental position. How do you balance that relationship with that young person, but also maintain the authority?
Ooh. I think I had good figures, AKA my parents. And so
I would agree. I'm big fans of Reggie and Rita Goff. A little shout out.
Shout out
to the Goffs. But continue. That's important.
Yeah, I believe I learned how to navigate that threshold early, just being a child to my parents. So in a way, I think I learned how to exercise it and execute it with my students, being in the classroom. But I had some hiccups too. Sometimes you're a little bit too casual, and you have to reestablish those boundary lines that this is what I'm here for and I'm tasked to do, to support you and to hold you accountable. But also there's layers of fun within that, but we need to know where that fun stops and where it can start.
So good. Boundaries. I mean, because you want to connect with these young people, but you're not
do.
their bestie.
You're not the bestie.
You're not the bestie. You are the authority.
Ooh.
Come on.
Drop
I'm still
that.
picturing you coming into the Game On office now, and every now and then we need a signal where you're like, I'm missing teaching, so we can be like, Miss Goff, Miss Goff, Miss Goff, Miss Goff.
Totally. I'll put a little bell or buzzer on the desk.
Little signal so we know, do you need space or do you need a little bit of that?
A little bit of love.
A little bit of engagement. So when you see the landscape now in leadership and curriculum development, but also just interacting with our clients from your vantage point in the season you're in, what are you seeing that could help young leaders feel empowered?
Man, young leadership empowerment, it's close to my heart right now.
Yeah.
I think the first thing you have to recognize is the qualities that you possess and valuing them, honing in on them, and being confident that you possess those things. I think sometimes I think with everybody, you seek for that outward validation. Tell me I can do this. Tell me I possess these things and qualities. But internally, you have to know that you're showing up, not just only for what you can do, but knowing that you inwardly possess those things to promote change, to, like we call in the office, be a pipe hitter, you know, that people feel and sense and can acknowledge your presence, and that you're deserving of being on that call, connecting with that client. You're intentional. You want to grow that relationship. And overall, you want to thrive in that environment or with that exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned, like, when we give others the power for our validation, you're like, that's dangerous.
It is very dangerous, and I had to learn that very early.
I'm still learning it.
Oh, well.
I think it's a natural thing, you know?
It is.
I don't think anyone is fully void of self-consciousness.
For sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But I've found that when we are waiting on other people's validation, well, you're giving away something that we should cherish.
That's right.
And then we start maybe reading things that aren't even there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I did value as a middle school teacher.
Yeah.
I call the 6th through 8th the soldiers in the battlefield.
Yes.
It's a very interesting 3 years. It's a strong transitional season for them. And so teaching them early that I can identify strong traits and strong strengths within them and empower that. You are a leader. And these are qualifications for leadership. And I want you to show up every day knowing that you can carry this load. And when the load gets heavy, call on Miss G and we're going to reset.
Come on.
And teach them those things. Whether that's my introvert student or my extrovert student, I'm pulling and mining those things out of them because you got gold in there.
My mind is racing right now. I've got so many things I want to ask you. So I'll start with just spitfire. Were there ever times when you were teaching where you saw a young Rachel and you actually had a bias to it, and how do you deal with that? That's like a layered question. So I'm going to say it one more time, but I'm like, I can roll with you like this. Yeah. Because we see like a young Steve or a young Rachel, and there's an affinity because you're like, oh, I can connect with this person. Did you ever see that when you were teaching these 6th, 7th, and 8th graders? And how did you deal with not overplaying that?
Several glimpses and several overplays, and I had to learn the value of personal assessment. You're having exchanges hourly, every 70 minutes with a new set of kids, and you get that glimpse of little Rachel. There's potential in there, and how Rachel received those validations in her particular age and time may be different than how that child will be receptive of it. So really just being discerning and empathetic of how to embrace that child, how to receive an invitation to come into their life to encourage them in that area. Every child's different.
So good. Mm-hmm. I love the idea that you have to like do some self-assessment. Just acknowledging like, oh, there's a little Stevie right there. There's a little Rachel right there. My first instinct is going to be like, I'm going to help you because I know what you're going through. But then
you got to ask, do they want the help? And are they ready?
Preach. Wait, you're saying ask for permission?
Permission.
Come on.
Permission is powerful.
Yeah, it really is.
The door that you either have access to or you trespassed. You have to give them the ability to say, yes, I want you in my life. I learned it through an example with 2 twins that I had in my first year of teaching. Yeah. One of the twins really drew to me. One of the other twins was like, you're my teacher. And I didn't understand that dynamic because I just thought, to be completely honest, they didn't really honor or respect women in leadership. And so I took it as a personal offense. But really, the more I did self-assessment throughout the year, I am exactly that. I'm his teacher. And whatever reach or extent that is, I have to honor that. He got his grade in my class. He completed his assignments. Right. And I don't have to overplay the relationship. Some students will exist just as that, or some relationships will exist just as that. Yeah. We come here to provide something to one another, due diligence, and then we conclude and you go on with your life and I go on with mine. And then there's the other twin where it's, Miss G, you want to take a selfie with me?
That's fascinating. And they're twins.
They're twins.
And both are okay.
Or okay.
and you understand the expectations of the relationship.
That's right.
So you can meet both twins where
they are and not take offense to it.
I love it. So good.
Good growing pain to grow through as a 23-year-old teacher.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by the idea of how we as leaders need to work together and bridge the generational gap. You know, it's talked about a lot, but it's more about what do we need to do to actually link arms, and back to respecting boundaries as well. Right. But I want to start threading out this idea of when you walk into a room and you're the only young person in a room. What's that like? Because I'm not there anymore, right? Unless I'm kind of rolling with the elders in the community, which happens every now and then. Rarely, I'm kind of right in the middle. You know, I look left, look right, and there's some folks that are younger than me, some people that are older than me, most people that look like me. But being the only sometimes, what's that like? And I want to go more than what's that like. And by the way, it's laugh with. Yeah. So we can find joy and levity in the discussion of other. Yeah. What's that like when you walk in, and how do you navigate that?
Well, let's start now, then we'll work our way backwards.
Come on.
But now, just with seeing some things change in the landscape of education before I left the classroom, I'm at that place now where, number one, I will be employing or be working with Gen Zs or Gen Alphas in the workplace soon.
Yeah.
That dynamic might look different, and I'll be looked at as the elder.
Isn't
so
that
concept is coming about a little bit more for me. But in previous years, you know, being the youngest in the room, and in fact, with all of my previous organizations, I was the youngest on roster.
Really?
So sometimes it was hard. I remember I used to look online and see how I could start a local committee for young professionals, though those things do exist. Yeah. You know, you just want some level of camaraderie. Mm-hmm. Do you understand, or do you remember of once being that young rookie? You know, so I guess sometimes maybe that veteran status sometimes might cause a little bit of amnesia, forgetting that I once was in that seat, and where can that empathy lie? Maybe a relevance. You know, I remember my first experience too at orientation, or I remember my first time, you know, planning my lesson plans or having some friction with a student. Those little small case studies could really help a young fellow out.
I love what you said about, because I'm receiving this. Yeah. I've given you permission to give this feedback. The idea of, like, I call it like maybe elder amnesia, and I don't mean that sounds a little strange, but it's not literal. But the idea of, if you go to mom and dad, they can give you some counsel, but it's going to take a little bit of recollection for them to go back to being the new being.
And I would say I'm a little bit of a different breed. I dig. I don't know if everybody has that propensity or willingness, but I ask my elders questions. I don't just sit in a room and just take it, so to speak. And I don't say that from like a disrespectful, dishonorable way, but
I know you're them.
I look at things. I look through the lens of relationship in a way of storytelling. You have a story, I have a story. Your story has couple more pages and chapters than me. Yeah. More experience, more lessons, more wisdom that you've acquired through life. I'm in chapter 2. So I'm sitting to the table ready to glean, seeing how the deposits that you've made got you into that seat, and sometimes hoping that there's reciprocity, that as hungry as I am to learn about you, how about for myself? Some rooms that happens, some rooms it doesn't, and so just as a young professional, learning to manage your expectations. Shout out to my dad, he taught me that, and I've been learning how to eat that one for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So good. I love what you talked about too, about creating a little camaraderie.
Yes.
You know, because we can all drive home, and even if it's in the 20s or in their 50s, we all drive home and we can do the assessment, and the assessment can be hard.
It can.
Like we can be harsh. You know, where we reflect on, I should have said that, I shouldn't have said that, or what happened in that room, or did that person mean what they said, or that look was, and you just kind of do this sort of assessment that's a little bit flawed because you're doing it alone in your room. So I love the idea of camaraderie.
Yes.
When you were in middle school, aside from mom and dad, who I know well, did you have a Miss G or a Mr. G? You know, because you referenced early Miss G as a reference to the kids and how they communicated with you. But who was that teacher that was like, I see something in you, young lady?
I knew this question was
I
coming.
did. We did not practice this.
We did not
But if you're
practice.
not watching, Rach just took her hands and did like the Johnny Manziel, like,
Listen.
but go.
Wayne Houston.
Come on, I love you. You got a first name and a last name, huh?
Mr. Houston.
Mr. Houston.
My 6th and 7th grade history teacher. Yeah. He was our cheerleader. He was our confidant. However, on the first day of school, we thought he was a hard taskmaster.
Yeah.
All of our assignments had to be written in cursive. There was just such a level of a standard that he had for us, but overall he believed in us. Mm-hmm. And 8th grade year, we were supposed to have another teacher. My class petitioned that he would travel with us all the way to 8th grade. Didn't happen, but he was always overseeing us and just a champion for us. Wow. It was a true village. And when I went into the classroom, got certified to teach social science, I reached out to him and told him
that.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
That is so special.
Yeah.
Wayne Houston.
Wayne Houston.
That's so good.
And he's still at my middle school today.
Yes.
He's an OG.
Yes. But I love that you said a word earlier that I want to bring back up, intentionality. Like, you're intentional about stopping and giving him credit where credit's due.
That's right.
And now that you have been a teacher and are a teacher, that means the world to hear from a former student.
It's a world.
That's so good.
It's a world. And he was the first person to really tell me, and it stuck, never say what you won't do. Because we used to roast him all the time.
Say that again. Never say
what you won't do.
Got it.
And I would say, Mr. Houston, you're the best at this. I would never be a teacher. I would never host us as kids and teach us and things of that nature. And time has told I'm in the same position.
Never say what you won't do.
Never say what you won't do.
Speak life.
Gotta speak life.
Yeah. You are passionate about empowerment.
I am.
I know. That's why I leaned into it. Where does that come from, and where does that take you?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's loaded. Thinking from that lens of an emerging leader, young, not in a condescending way, young in just an acknowledgement way, right?
Yeah.
Empowerment. Who do you want to empower and why?
Oof. Well, first I was empowered. Somebody believed in me. That was my parents and my community, from coaches to even friends to friends' parents. So that value was set early, and then to be able to see it in others. I don't just take jobs or employment for what they can do or benefit me. I look very intently to see how I can benefit that organization, bring life, a little bit of orange too, game on.
Come on, if you're not watching this on video, Rachel showed up today for podcast day, and that orange was on that hanger, and I thought, on brand.
On brand.
On brand.
Gotta empower the masses.
But I do think that's powerful no matter what age you are. If we're going to weave in this idea of generational connection, is we got to think about, how we can support one another and work together, but also the things that are accessible for all of us. What's accessible to a younger person, someone in the middle of their career, and maybe an elder like mom and dad. We all can be intentional.
Absolutely.
I think intentionality is recession proof. And I think it's generational proof. I think it's going to last. It's going to be time proof. You with me?
With you.
What are some of the things, Rach, that you found? And we can talk about differences. Oh, these kids nowadays, that phrase, I always want to speak life into that, But what do you think are some truths and universal unifiers with the different generations,
Oh, man. In a way, every generation is different, but in a way, we've all navigated the same plight. Just elements of peer pressure, elements of, growth in our adolescence and things of that nature, or, themes of popularity or being liked, being seen. We've all navigated those things. How about this? Pythagorean theorem in high school, but we want to learn how to file our taxes and things of that nature. We've all gone through those experiences. And I think the thing that I've realized is, I think I already said we're more alike than different, but all of us are on our own different journeys, and we have to take our time in recognizing that though we've gone through the same course, the rhythm may be different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've honored with my parents and my elders, is that they're conscious and they're humble enough to admit we've gone down the same path, but different routes, different streams, different lessons learned from it. And being able to say, I empathize. I may not understand because I didn't go through it,
Yeah.
but I empathize with what you're going through.
Yeah. Did you see technology where it can be a value and where it can be a distraction? Obviously, very common topic.
Yeah.
But for you, and as a teacher, what are you seeing from your perspective, your lens, even amongst your peers, where that technology can be an asset and where it can be a concern?
Technology is 1,000% an asset. I'm an advocate for technology.
Okay.
Before I switched my path, I was actually going to study educational technology, but my teacher said, this thing's going to box you in. You have so many more opportunities, expand your wings and fly. But I almost went into like the cyber tech world because I really do like facets of technology. But being in the classroom and, you know, our new tech neighbor, ChatGPT, started coming to the surface, and AI engagement. And I really began to recognize how we have to see it as an asset, a tool, a resource, not the end-all, be-all thing.
That's good what you just said. I really love that. An asset, but not the be-all, end-all.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just seeing some of the students really struggle with human connection. And I knew my pivot was coming in a great way, that I wanted to be a part of the vision of Game On because the authenticity and the daily desire and effort to inspire people to connect again as humans. I graduated college through COVID. We were so distant.
Yeah.
So distant, so separated, but still seeing technology from a healthy lens, but also recognizing that if we don't work on our human connection, technology will corrupt us in our human connection.
Yes. It's funny, I've thought about this as well, is instead of running away from the technology, it's absolutely an asset, and it's embedded in our entire fabric of our rhythm. But that doesn't mean that authentic connection goes away. It becomes a precious commodity.
It becomes a precious commodity. I mean, me and my mom have grown in our relationship, my dad too, through technology. Yeah. I teach them how to use Instagram and how to DM me, direct message. And they're doing a fabulous job. Something as small as that has added another notch in our relationship and their pursuit as well to stay engaged with the times, because times are changing. And I look through the window of their life as well, because I'm going to be an elder one day. There's going to be advancements that I may not be educated in and things of that nature. Can I look to the younger and be a student and be a teacher, and that we can both benefit from the asset?
You said something so powerful, and as an elder in this conversation, we have to have the humility to surrender and say, hey, you have some things you're sitting on that I need help with. I need help with the Instagram reel, and how a reel is different than a story, which is different than a post. And how do I invite someone to be a collaborator on an Instagram? See, how am I doing, Rach?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
What the listener needs to understand is this is real conversations you and I have.
Yes, sir.
But I'll tell you, as an elder, it's not always easy. It's not always easy to say, hey, I don't know what's going on here. I remember when COVID started, I was afraid to pair off people in Zoom and send them out on a breakout. I thought I'd lose them forever. I would say, bye. I'd say, bye, everybody. You know when you break them into groups? You'd be like, click. But I think from my perspective, it's just we do need to be humble. And then the younger generation needs to be aware that it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy to seed that authority. But if we don't, we won't be able to break people out in Zooms, and much worse.
That's right. And patience on our end. I know I can testify.
Come on.
Patience every day.
Yeah.
That just for those 18 years of tutelage and nurturing me. My parents had patience. My teachers had patience. And so it's almost in a way of giving back and having that reciprocity of it might take you a couple repetitions to learn how to do that DM or to know the difference between the reel and the
I love
story
that.
and the post. But I'm walking with you in sight of recognizing how you've walked with me.
Well, what you just said, when your parents were bringing you up, they couldn't say to young Rachel, I don't understand why you don't get this, right? That's not good parenting, right? As a parent myself, I am off if I say that to Blake or Bailey, who you know well. And at the same time, when you're teaching, which is a strange shift,
It is.
but we're in a time in our lives right now where there is more information that you're sitting on as a younger generation than I think in the history of time. That's my feeling, just because of the content and technology and all of the production of things. You're sitting on a wealth of information that I didn't grow up with, and so the same way parents cannot tell young people, I can't believe you don't understand this when they're first walking. It's very important that you don't say to Mom and Dad, I don't understand how you don't understand, right?
And even through gifts and memes,
Come
you
on.
still have to laugh with.
Laugh
and not
with, yes.
act. I had to learn that because guess what? They have feelings too.
Yes.
They're on a learning curve too. They're trying to process and apply the new too. So, and basically, we're all still learning. That's why I subscribe to being a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And when you're a lifelong learner, you can sit at a table figuratively with somebody else and say, you know what? I've had to go down this path too.
Yeah.
It takes some time. But once you get there and you understand it, you'll be able to teach it to somebody else, because that's the basic byproduct of being the definition of a teacher. You can take in information and you can then transfer it to somebody else in a simplified form.
I think one of the best gifts, and I think you have this, is taking complicated information and conveying it in a simple manner.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not easy. I want to get to some takeaways. Before we do that, though, I want to acknowledge one other thing. And we've brought up Mom and Dad, and I have tremendous affinity for your mother and father. But recently, you stepped in for your father to share at the National Day of Prayer.
I did.
And I want to connect this back to connection and connect it back to younger generation and empowerment.
Right.
You were the youngest of the National Day of Prayer presenters.
That's right.
Because I was there. And what is your pregame routine when you get that invitation to step in? And by the way, didn't surprise me. I wasn't sitting there expecting anything other than just locked in intentionality and strength. But what's your pregame routine when you get told you're going to be sharing at the National Day of Prayer in downtown Bradenton in front of hundreds of people?
In all honesty, sweaty palms and a sweaty brow.
Isn't that awesome?
And I learned-
And I say that only because I want everyone, young people, middle-aged people, our elders, to know that that's okay to acknowledge. Because
So
guess what's
okay.
funny? I didn't see any of that. Because you didn't get up and say, hey, everyone, I'm really nervous. I got sweaty palms and sweaty brows. You got up and you shared your heart and honored God. But I'm glad you shared that, because I think young people need to hear that.
Right.
Yeah?
My uncle, a couple years ago, would say he's in the public speaking space as
Okay.
well.
Fair.
But I asked him his routine before he speaks before people.
What do you say?
And he was a little bit graphic, but I understood. But he gets stomach pains.
Yeah, I get it.
And he started having just little migraines. But he said, I would not dismiss those symptoms because they keep me humble.
Yeah, and it shows that you care. Now, I like what you said. You have to make sure that you don't dismiss them, and at the same time, make sure that they don't become our driving force. Right. But I love what you said. So you have sweaty palms and sweaty brow, but how do you navigate through that and stand up there like the Rachel Goff that I saw and share the gospel?
Beyond the sweaty palms and the sweaty brows, if I was called on, then apparently somebody saw the gift that was in me. And I'll rise to the occasion any day if that's what God's called me to do.
Come on. I just thought of for a moment. Thank you, Mr. Houston.
Man,
Huh?
don't make me cry.
I mean, I could shout out mom and dad, but thank you, Mr. Houston, because those are the things that are powerful, is when people see something in you and they communicate it clearly. I mean, that to me is the most powerful empowerment, especially when you're catching a young person at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which you already talked about are some of the most sort of powerful learning moments, powerful learning ages, catch them at that time.
It's a shifting season. You have to be very delicate during that time.
You could create a whole industry on how to navigate middle school kids, because I have one in the middle of it and one rising middle schooler.
Don't
and
encourage me now.
you taught the middle school, and I stay in that land because I think it's a great learning tool in general for how we navigate and manage and lead people and lead ourselves.
That's right. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to say yes to our awesome headquarters team if it wasn't for my experiences with my students.
That's good.
They have taught me how to relate even at an adult level with adults.
Wow.
By far my most humble experience.
Oh, I love it.
Love the classroom.
You are authoritative in being a leader in their 20s. So what's your takeaways for all of us? I'm listening, by the way. I'm not just asking for our viewers and our listeners. What would you share as some practical takeaways that can allow us to continue to never master, but to improve how we bridge that generational gap from your perspective?
Number one, be authentically yourself.
Yeah.
Don't try to be someone that you're not. Number two, recognize the individuals that you're crossing paths with as well. They're human, they're persons. They have a plan and a purpose for their life as well, and they're navigating that. Number three, be intentional in everything that you do. Don't take any moment for granted. I believe that's been my propeller in being so progressive as a young professional right now, is because I haven't taken moments for granted.
So good. And I go back to celebrating your mom and dad, celebrating your family, celebrating Mr. Houston, Wayne Houston.
Wayne Houston.
Yes, I don't know him, but I am a beneficiary of his gifting because he saw something in you. Rachel Goff, we appreciate you so much. I think it's really important that we continue to link arms with different ages and to not see that younger generation as a threat, but as a opportunity to help us learn. And in the same regard, we can help the younger generation learn.
That's right. Let's keep the line going.
Come on. This is Laugh with Rachel Goff, and I encourage you all, laughter is not just being the funniest person in the room. Laughter is about seeing the joy and the levity and the beauty in one twin versus another. How's that for callback? Check out the Game On podcast, Laugh With, where podcasts can be found. How'd that?
You're doing great.
How'd I do as a Gen Xer?
10 out of 10.
Get out that reel and that post and that story, and make sure you tag the person so they can be a collaborator. That's my Gen X social media that I've learned from Rachel, and so much more. Appreciate you so much, Rach. Thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Let's go.